Good evening. Thank you all for coming here this evening. My name is Laurie Milheiser, and I am the chair of the Montclair Community Activities Commission and one of the hosts for this event tonight. On behalf of our members, I want to welcome you here for the 2018 General Municipal Election Montclair Mayoral Candidates Forum. The purpose of tonight's event is to help you be more informed about the candidates who are running for the seat of Montclair Mayor. Before we start, I would like to introduce our Community Activities Commissioners. Vice Chair Arturo Padilla. Where's the rest of them? Commissioners, where's Darlene? Oh, okay. Commissioners, this is Rosa Rangel and Diane Wells. Alex Hernandez and Chris Paez. And the other member is Darlene Ferraro. If you have a question you would like to ask the candidates, please raise your hand and one of our commissioners will be happy to give you a question card and also to retrieve it from you. This forum will be organized and structured, and to help us moderate tonight, it is my pleasure to introduce the board chairman for the Montclair Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Tim Walburn. Tim is a lifelong area resident, attended Chaffey High School and Cal Poly Pomona. He's currently the branch director for the Youth and Family branch of the West End YMCA. Tim has been serving the communities of Montclair and Ontario for over 10 years. He's currently a member of and is the immediate past president of the Ontario Rotary Club. Tim, we thank you for being here this evening to serve as our moderator, and I will turn the program over to you.
Very good. Thank you, Laurie. On behalf of the Montclair Chamber of Commerce and Board of Directors, I'd like to welcome you here tonight and thank you for this opportunity on behalf of the candidates as well. At this point, I would like everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Community Activities Commission Vice Chair Arturo Padilla.
Please put your right hand over your heart, and if you're in uniform, salute by the numbers. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Arturo. Okay, I will be moderating this evening 3 segments of the forum. Candidates will make an opening statement, followed by a question and answer period, and concluding with a closing statement. All segments will be timed by our timekeeper, Community Activities Commissioner Chris Paez. The forum will be taped and will air on the Government Access Channel, Channel 3, various days and times prior to the election. For your convenience, a flyer with the air dates and times is available on the campaign literature table, which is located between the 2 exits. The forum can also be accessed on the city's website and Facebook page and the YouTube channel. All these viewing options will be available after October 22nd, 2018. As you can see, all the candidates are seated on the stage. The seating arrangement for the candidates this evening was determined by random drawing earlier this evening. For opening statements, the rotation will be from the east to the west, or from left to right. For closing statements, the rotation will be from the west to the east. During the question and answer period, the rotation will be from east to west, beginning with one person to the west each new question. So the start question rotates. Each candidate will have the opportunity to make a 3-minute opening statement. The structure and content of the opening statement are at the discretion of the candidate. A typical opening statement may include the following: candidate's qualifications, why a candidate regards themselves as the best leadership choice for the office, issues important to the candidate, and visionary comments regarding the candidate's outlook for Montclair. Candidates may wish to highlight their public service to the community and make observations regarding the need to maintain the status quo, or may want to make observations regarding their perceived need to change the established order. Each candidate will be advised when his opening statement is approaching the time limit and when their time is over. Each candidate should make concluding statements when 1 minute remaining sign is held up. After the completion of all opening statements, candidates will respond to written questions from the audience. Questions may be addressed to the candidates in writing only. Members of the audience will have an opportunity to prepare those questions during the opening comments portion of the program. Representatives of the Montclair Community Activities Commission will collect those as Lori spoke. Questions will be reviewed by the Commission for the appropriateness and to eliminate any duplications. Acceptable questions are those that have to do with a candidate's qualifications, experience, character, integrity, and honesty as they relate to the role and duties of the Mayor of Montclair. As the moderator, I will address all questions to the candidates. I will present questions to candidates in the following manner. 1. Questions of general interest and concern will be presented to all candidates. General questions will be randomly selected or can be directed toward a specific candidate, and questions that have been submitted for specific candidates may be selected and asked of that candidate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to the questions. This is the process designed for this forum, and there's no deviation from that format. Following the question and answer period, each candidate will have the opportunity to make a 3-minute closing statement. The structure and content of closing statements are at the discretion of each candidate, and a typical closing statement may include rebuttal comments, re-emphasis of a previous discussion, and the responsibility to vote. Each candidate will be advised when their closing statement is approaching the 1-minute mark. The candidate should then conclude their comments. All right, candidates, if you are ready, we will begin. Okay, so beginning with Mr. Dutre, you have 3 minutes to give us your opening statement.
Well, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. As you know, our great mayor, Mayor Paul Eaton, led Montclair for many years and provided unwavering leadership. I think leadership we're all very proud of and big shoes that we have to fill whoever gets elected. And as you're aware, I currently serve as your city council member, including 8 years as Mayor Pro Tem. And I'll be honored to continue this tradition of strong and stable leadership as your mayor. I grew up in Montclair. I am loyal to the city of Montclair, and I think I can provide great leadership for Montclair as mayor. I have a strong understanding of municipal government, the firm grasp of the Montclair issues, the vision for Montclair's future, solid relationship with Montclair residents, businesses, stakeholders, and I work well with many regional mayors, council members, county board of supervisors, and our state federal legislators through my regional involvement with SB, San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, and also with Omnitrans, and also sitting on the Gold Line Joint Powers Authority. The mayor's role is to ensure staff and council remain focused on Montclair's vision for the future, ensure the city council works together, engage Montclair stakeholders and residents, advocate for Montclair, and act as Montclair's ambassador. I think the next mayor will need to tackle these issues for Montclair's future. Number 1, control the pension cost to prevent eroding our city services. 2, revitalize the Montclair Place, also known as the Plaza, or formerly known as Plaza, to sustain it as a regional, retail, and entertainment destination. 3, bring the Gold Line train to develop North Montclair as a regional transportation, retail, residential, and employment area. Number 4, continue to improve our city's streets, parks, and neighborhoods to beautify Montclair. Number 5 is to keep Montclair safe by supporting our police, fire, and protecting our children. And finally, number 6, enhance Montclair's youth and senior activities that complement the Montclair to College, the after school, and the senior lunch programs. I graduated from Montclair High School. My wife and I have 2 children, Christopher and Janine. My parents, Jean and Maria, immigrated from France and Spain and worked hard to establish a business here in Montclair. I've been endorsed by many Montclair leaders and numerous mayors and council members from the region, including from Chino Hills, Claremont, Ontario, Upland, Ranch Cucamonga, and Fontana. Tonight, I look forward to answering your questions so that you can learn more about me and obviously learn more about the other candidates. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Raff, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here tonight. I have been on the City Council for 26 years, and in that time, I have been Mayor Pro Tem for the last 4 years. Out of 26 years, I have been absent only 3 times. That was due to a death of a loved one, an accident, and from surgery. I have made sure I was always there to represent you since you voted for me to be your representative. I always try to keep the resident in mind when I vote for any item that's on the agenda. Montclair is prospering very well. We have a good reserve in case an emergency comes before us. We have a balanced budget. I have made sure that the city residents are well looked after by voting in favor of projects that benefit you, the voter. Our Part 1 crimes, which includes homicide, rape, robbery, larceny, theft, and arson, is almost one half of the previous years. I am sure you have heard all the great things coming to Montclair, such as the Dine-In AMC 12-screen theater, the concert venue that seats 1,500 people, a Lucky Strike bowling alley, along with many more shops and restaurants. The goal line that will be finished by supposedly 2025 from Glendora to Montclair. I am told that will from Montclair to Los Angeles will cost around $1.75. But don't hold me to that because sometimes, the government, they don't always say what they... I will continue working on the North Montclair I will continue working on the North Downtown specific plan into making it a transit district with Metrolink, Foothill Transit, and the Gold Line, as well as promote high-density mixed land development. This helps to address the state and region's housing shortage and the need to create the changing retail market. I would also like to advocate to bring back redevelopment by working with our state government representatives and other cities. Some seniors that live in Montclair are on a fixed income and can't afford the upkeep of their home or perhaps health issues. By getting back redevelopment, hopefully, we can help residents restore their homes and bring the value back to where it belongs. Of course, there's some that just don't want the help and they don't care about their property. These are exciting times for Montclair, and I am excited to be a part of all these wonderful changes. I think the coming years, Montclair will play a great part in the future of the Inland Empire. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Elias, you have 3 minutes.
Hi. I don't have quite the pedigree that these two professionals up here have. I was a paralegal for most of my life as my adult career. I'm currently a small business owner and entrepreneur in the city of Montclair. I'm a fairly new resident to Montclair compared to the rest of them. I've been here 7 years. I grew up in the Valley, and I've lived in Rancho, and I've watched both of those places get ruined by expansion being done improperly. I know Montclair needs some affordable housing, and the city needs to support small businesses more than they are currently doing. My experience working with the city in order to open my business taught me exactly what's not going right in the city. I am glad to see that the mall is finally being redone to bring more stuff in. Living in Montclair has taught me that most people don't know where Montclair is. And when we opened our business, we told the city that we would help put Montclair on the map. So I want to continue helping with that. I know the Gold Line will help. It's a great thing. Most of my family lives west of here. And if they can just hop on a quick train, they might come out and visit more often. Other than that, just want to see Montclair keep growing, but growing in a way that people are not going to be complaining about parking. I know they've been improving things with 1.5 parking spaces per unit. I haven't figured out yet what half a car is, but I know it does make neighbors complain when people are then parking on their street because they have no place to park where they live. So other things like synchronizing the traffic lights. It took me, I was almost late today because I hit every red light on Central Avenue. And if you hit every single light, that's what is going to create traffic. So I would like to help things like that. I'm in the city every day because my business is in the city. So I am dealing with a lot of this stuff more than people who work outside of the city. But I would like to see it. And because I do work in the city, if you ever want to come see your mayor, I'm right there for you to come talk to.
Mr. Smith, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say hello, Montclair residents. Thank you for showing up tonight. Again, I lack most of the experience that the people to my right have, but I am very open-minded and feel I can add to the charisma of the city. And speaking of putting the city on the map, I feel I have the time and energy to do that. I can actually be a person or a mayor that you see walking down the city streets. I have no other interest outside of basically running for mayoral office, so I don't own any businesses or I don't stand on any other board. So all my time can be given to the city. I can be the actual mayor you see walking down the streets, like I said before. A little bit about my history. Well, long story short, me and my mother, we moved here in Montclair a little over 20 years ago, right after the Northridge earthquake in Los Angeles. It kind of, destroyed the apartment complex we were moving in, so that's kind of the setup to how we ended up out here. I've gone to Monte Vista Elementary School, Serrano Middle School, and graduated class of 2003 from Montclair High, so I'm a local boy. And yeah, I feel that if the city's looking for a new direction, I feel that it could use someone probably of my age and just different kind of background. They say millennials are a lost generation. We're not lost. We're just different, misunderstood, and have a different set of values. And I feel myself added on to what's already currently here with the experience matched with the new age wisdom. We could be a very powerful team, and we could actually really put Montclair on the map with new ideas. But also not forgetting our original residents who have tons of issues and concerns. And it's great to expand and all, but I feel that we've been neglecting some of our original residents and their insight. And, it's going to take all of us to work together. The city is limited in capacity and size, so we will have to cooperate closely with the city and residents as well as new businesses coming in and maintaining proper balance between residency and commercial business. And that's probably my number one goal, is to work with the people, help to promote the city, but in a positive way, and move forward collectively and not pushing people out, but negotiating on every single move. And my number one goal as mayor would be to defend the Constitution of the United States. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, so this is the first general question, and we'll start with Mr. Dutre. You have 2 minutes, and the question is, what issues compelled you to run for mayor, and where do you stand on these issues?
Well, I think there's a lot of important issues in the city of Montclair, but overall, this is to me, a very important community to all of us. And so my first goal is to make sure Montclair is a good quality community for families to live in, for business to be here, and for the public to come to, making sure that people feel safe, making sure that there's lots of good entertainment here in the city of Montclair. Obviously, to make sure that we have a lot of good services, city services, making sure that your trash is picked up, make sure when you call 911, police and fire show up, making sure that if there's a pothole, there's a picked up, make sure that if your neighbor's got trash and debris in the front yard, that our code enforcement division is taking care of it. So I think there's, overall it's about quality of life, and I think the role of a mayor, unlike a city council member, is to build the consensus among the council members, to making sure you have the vision of where the city's going, engaging the staff, making sure the staff is following the policy of the city council, and overall making sure that the public here in Montclair is getting what they want from their city government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Raff, you have 2 minutes. What issues compelled you to run for mayor, and where do you stand on those issues?
Actually, I wasn't planning on running for mayor until our past mayor, Paul Eaton, the beloved mayor. He figured out he could not run again because the doctors have told him that he could not. So he and his family asked me to run for council, and I had his support. I have their support. There are some issues in Montclair, I think, that needs to be resolved, and that's dealing with code enforcement. There's a lot of property that's not being taken care of, and then, of course, some people can't afford it, so that's in a different category. Parking is a very big issue in Montclair, especially in certain places. In some it's okay, but a lot of it's not. Traffic, yes, we have a problem with the people on the traffic. People are running red lights, people are running stop signs, people are parking illegally all over the Montclair, and these are things that I would like to see that are fixed on that, and it's going to take the council working together to get all of this corrected. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Elias, you have 2 minutes. What issues compelled you to run for mayor, and where do you stand on those issues?
One of the big issues, again, was getting Montclair on the map and bringing Montclair into the 21st century. We did an event one day in Chino, and the guy asked, "Where's Montclair?" And I mean, Chino's next door. But there's a lot of things out there that are not happening in the city that the city could be taking advantage of to help bring in money to the city. Things such as making pot dispensaries legal. So instead of wasting money getting rid of all the pot dispensaries that are constantly popping up, we could actually make money off of them and benefit. And it would also help put the city on the map because most of the other cities around us are saying no. And I think it's legal in the state. We might as well take advantage of it and use it to our benefits. Things like the concert venue that's going in is a great thing, especially with the Gold Line once it makes it here. And we need a hotel for all the entertainers that are coming into the city. I think a hotel in the mall would be a great idea. I'm sure they could fit somewhere out there. So that's why I want to bring some new ideas into the city to work with the people who have been here for decades and bring it all together and make everything better for all people of Montclair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, you have 2 minutes. What issues compelled you to run for mayor, and where do you stand on those issues?
Well, what compelled me to run for mayor? First off, I've been in the city, like I said, for over 20 years, and I've seen the city grow from childhood to my adulthood, and I've steadily seen the lack of, I guess, interest toward the city south of the 10 freeway. More of the, I guess, at least in my opinion, more of the focus is being put on north of the 10 freeway of the city and not much as south of the 10 freeway. I mean, there are some alleyways and some streets south of the 10 freeway that are in desperate need of, I guess, electrical poles being replaced or repaired. There's a pole actually in the alley on one of my neighbors that lives off of Canoga. The electrical pole is split almost from the ground all the way up to the top, and the pole is leaning. And I'm actually glad I have this opportunity to make this public, that it needs to be looked into probably within the next 24 hours before any kind of tragedy happens, because the pole is near the breaking point. But besides that, more attention needs to be put on the local residents, and we need to, I guess, listen a little bit more to what our local residents have to say, as well as the business residents have to say, or as well as the businesses, but pay a little bit more attention to our local residents and just put a little more attention south of the 10 freeway. And that's probably what compelled me to run for mayor, is just to try to have the voice of the people a little bit more present in city politics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. Okay, so we're going to second round of general, and this would start with Mrs. Raft. How do you propose the city continue maintaining and enhancing public services while simultaneously maintaining a balanced budget?
Montclair, first of all, has got a lot of things that are going to be coming to Montclair, that we will be a lot of revenue that will be coming in, that we can keep our budget balanced. I would like to say on the electric poles that, for your information, those are Southern California Edison's responsibility. I did get in touch with Edison, and we are having some replaced that should have been placed a long time ago. And also, if a resident has a complaint and they call me, I always take care of it. I either answer them. If I don't know, I find out for them. So, and there are a lot of complaints that have been going on, but anyone that has complained will tell you that I always get back to them. Like I say, we are having a lot of things come into Montclair, but by the time the theater and the concert hall and other things, businesses and other business coming in, Montclair's really growing up, and we're getting a lot of new business. And as you see, people that have noticed, see every vacant land is being built with either warehouses or industrial or businesses. And it's we have another one that's going to be going on Central between Carl's Jr. and AutoZone. That's going to be a big shop place. So I think Montclair, we're doing really good. So I don't think we're going to have a problem as far as the time we get finished having the money come in for our budget. I think we'll balance our budget.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Elias, you have 2 minutes. How do you propose the city continue maintaining and enhancing public services while simultaneously maintaining a balanced budget?
As Mrs. Raff just pointed out, all the new things coming into the mall will help. I know when I talk to customers about it, they get very excited when we tell them what's coming in. A lot of people don't know about the concert venue coming in. Plus all the restaurants and everything that they're adding over there. I know that other businesses similar to mine are currently opening. One just recently opened and one will be opening soon. So that's also helping new businesses in the city. Again, pot dispensaries, instead of wasting money on code enforcement and police officers going out to get rid of these places, because by the time they get done getting rid of them, they've popped up somewhere else. From what I've heard, there's always at least 3 that they're working on getting rid of and 3 more that they haven't found yet. And they make so much money, they don't care if they just pop up for 3 months and then leave again. And we should be taking advantage of that tax revenue to keep the city going. And affordable housing would help the city because then people would come into the city and stay in the city. If people tend to stay in one place, then they care about the place more, and then that will help improve everything for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, how do you propose the city continue maintaining and enhancing public services while simultaneously maintaining a balanced budget? You have 2 minutes.
Right. Well, I would say being a little bit more small business friendly. I like the fact that the city is growing and we see a lot of commercial business, but we could be a little bit more small business friendly. I've seen some small businesses kind of evaporate or disappear over time, or they're struggling with high rent costs. So again, it goes back to communication with the city. That's the best way. Inviting people and making it more public, making it more people more aware when city council meetings are occurring, and just communication with the city and promoting small business, and having maybe the children from the schools meet up with the police department on regular occasions to bridge the gap between, like the whole after police mentality and this and that. I remember when I was growing up in the city, it was a lot more involved. I knew the police officers' names, and now it's like I can probably point to 1 or 2. No offense to any of our beautiful officers here right now today, but I used to know most of you guys when I was in high school, and now it's kind of dwindled down to just maybe 1 or 2 names. So just being more open to the city. Those problems can be tackled as long as we have great communication and bringing everyone together. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dutray, how do you propose the city continue maintaining and enhancing public services while simultaneously maintaining a balanced budget?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges that this city and all the other cities are facing is that's the escalation cost of CalPERS, the pension cost, I should say. Montclair, prior to 2008, was paying about a little more than $1 million a year. Today it's about a little more than $4 million a year. And probably by 2022, 2023, that'll be closer to $6 to $8 million a year. And that is a thing that we need to control. We have done a good job. We've reduced our staff levels. We've been much more efficient in terms of how we spend our money. And we've challenged staff in this current fiscal year of 2019 to come up with a plan to deal with the escalating cost of CalPERS. So we may look at other revenue sources. We may look at possibility of financing some of the future CalPERS obligations the city has to offset the increased cost. So again, as a council member, as mayor, I'm determined, along with the council, to tackle this issue. We have a lot of good resources in Montclair. Obviously, North Montclair is an economic engine of the city. We talked about the Montclair Place, but also the Gold Line coming to Montclair, Metrolink. I think North Montclair could be a very strong economic with retail and employment and housing that also will fund the budget and cover the services. Montclair is a small city. We don't have a whole lot of land to expand, unlike other surrounding cities have been able to expand. So we need to be real conservative about the land we have and how we use that land, and making sure that when that land gets developed, that there is a positive source of funds to the city's general fund. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to a random question. This one's for Ms. Elias. In your candidate statement, you indicate some changes need to be made in the city. What are these changes, and how do you plan to accomplish them?
Well, again, we're back to one thing is to bring the city into the 21st century as far as what businesses are currently expanding businesses in the city or in the country entirely. When we approached the city to open our business, we had to completely educate the Planning Commission and the City Council on what our business was, not their impression of what our business was. And I think if you get some new blood mixed in again with the people who have been around for a while and know all the rules and ins and outs, that will help put Montclair on the map, so that when the Gold Line does get here, people will think about, hey, that's someplace I want to go. So we need to make it so people want to come here, and then maybe if there's affordable housing, they will decide they want to maybe stay out here. And that would help the city in multiple ways.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for Ms. Raft. Do you support city employees campaigning on behalf of council candidates on their own personal time? Please elaborate.
Well, we cannot dictate to an employee what they can or cannot do on their own time. So if they want to help anyone as far as campaigning, no matter who it is, then they have a right to do that. And they cannot be chastised or blamed for something like that. I know they have in the past. They've campaigned for me. They've campaigned for John and some of the other people that were running. And so, like I said, it's on their own time, so you cannot tell them what to do. They have a free will, and they have their own time is free for themselves. So.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for Mr. Smith. As a new candidate for public office, what qualities do you have that make you better choice for mayor than the other candidates?
Well, like I said, I've been in the city for over 20 years now. Gone to elementary, junior high, and high school in the city. I've covered probably at least to get 90% of the city on foot, so I'm very familiar with the city. I'm very familiar with everything within a 30-mile radius of the city. I used to drive for a non-emergency medical transporting company, and dialysis patients, so I'm very familiar with our surrounding areas. And yeah, I just feel that I have the charisma, the enthusiasm, and the actual time to serve as a mayor. I mean, if you guys want a full-time mayor, I can be a full-time mayor. You'll see me walking down the streets, and you'll see me visiting your homes or knocking on your doors or inviting you to different city events, personally letting you know when city events are coming up. So yeah, I just feel that I have the time and charisma and energy to be the best mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and this last question is for Mr. Dutre. Do you support city employees campaigning on behalf of council candidates on their own time? And please elaborate.
Well, obviously, there's their constitutional right. They want to campaign on their own time. What I do want to say, I think we have some very good city employees here in the city of Montclair. We're a city of 40,000. We have over 150 full-time employees. And I'm very proud of all the employees from all the departments, what they've accomplished. And I talked about earlier how we reduced the staffing levels, and also we've been much more efficient with our budget. So we've asked our employees here in Montclair since 2008 to do more with less. And again, I want to state that I'm very happy of all the hard work. You know, I work for another city, City Rialto, and what I've learned is we as City Council have the easy job. Our job is to enact policy and we take votes, but when the real work, the nuts and bolts, is the city employees. You know, you have city employees that care about your city. They have a heart in their city. They may not live in the city. Then you will have good services, good accomplishments, good programs that comes out of it. So I'm very proud of our employees here in Montclair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This next round of questions starts with Ms. Elias. What attribute separates you from the other candidates? You have 2 minutes.
Being a small business owner in the city allows me to see how the city treats small business owners, and they are not extremely helpful to small business owners. They put up a lot of roadblocks for us. So as a small business owner, I would like to help other small business owners in the city and maybe welcome in some more of them to make it a more friendly city for small business owners. We know people who have businesses in all the surrounding cities, and they all have some issues that doesn't help small businesses. And I would like to see Montclair be the place that makes small businesses very welcome to come in to the city. I noticed that a lot of the employees for Montclair do not actually live in Montclair. And that kind of makes me wonder about it, because if you really support the city that you're in, that you're working for, wouldn't you want to also make it someplace that you want to live too? So as a paralegal, I'm familiar with law. I'm a notary public. I do loan doc signings, so I'm familiar with real estate issues. And I said, as a small business owner, I'm aware of the issues that small business owners have to deal with too.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, what attribute separates you from the other candidates? You have 2 minutes.
Very sociable, easy to confront, or easy to talk to. I have, I guess, experience in a lot of different fields. I taught martial arts to school students age 15 to 17 for a few years. I've driven, like I said, for non-emergency medical transportation companies. I drove a cab for a while. I've done security. So I've done a whole list of jobs that have put me around or in crowds of people. So I'm used to dealing with people and crowds of people and speaking to people on a mass level. I like public speaking, actually. And I think that I have the energy and the attitude to assimilate into the city and just have everyone feed me their ideas and be the I guess the figurehead for the city's ideas. So I don't want to. It's not really about my vision. It's more so about the vision of the residents of the city, and I like to be the voice for the city. So again, like I said, it'd be easy to come and talk to me. It's not like I'm gonna be some phantom mayor. You could see me probably walking down the street or find me in my office 9 times out of 10. But if you have any concerns, you could talk to me directly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dutre, what attribute separates you from the other candidates?
Well, first of all, I want to commend my parents. My parents started a small business here in Montclair, and a motel business, I'll admit, and that's a 7 days a week, 24-hour business. And so through that, I had to learn about how to, small business operates, how to cover your bills, generate revenue. But more importantly, I had to learn about work. I had to hard work. I had to go out there and, when I was not in school, I was at the motel working on a constant basis. So my parents have given me hard work attributes, how to take care of people, how to be nice to people, and that's been really important to me. I've been in the council for 22 years. For some people, maybe a long time, but 22 years. What taught me is how the government operates. How do you get things done here? And my good friend Leonard Paulitz in the background always told me, John, if you want to get things done in the city, you got to know how to count. You got to have 3 votes to make things happen. If you don't have 3 votes, you're wasting your time. So, one of the things I think is important is to build consensus among council members. Come up with a vision that a council is going to agree with. The other thing I learned is, a staff member is work with staff. You may have this crazy idea, like, I want to do this idea, and I think it's a great idea. And you go talk to staff, and that's going to say, John, that's a crazy idea. But nevertheless, this job being mayor it requires you to understand the issues in Montclair, how to get things done, how to fix those issues, how to get along with your council colleagues, but also requires you to have external relationships with members of the city council of other cities and mayors and board of supervisors, because when you have all the regional boards and you're out there fighting for Montclair, you have to develop those relationships to get things done, to get money to come back to Montclair. So those are all important attributes that I think I provided the city. And frankly, at the end, I really care about the city of Montclair. I care about what the city is going to. I care about the people of the city of Montclair. And I think those are some of the important attributes to be a mayor.
Thank you. Mrs. Raff, what attribute separates you from the other candidates? You have 2 minutes.
Okay. I have been, most of my adult life, I have worked from the day I got married to the day as of now, okay? My husband and I, we ran a business. We had a business, a couple different ones, and then in Montclair, I ran a business for over 20 years, and I know what it entails to have to be a business owner, or what it is to run a business. I have a great relationship with the employees of Montclair. I love Montclair, and I'm not planning on going anywhere else. I don't have any ambition to do anything else other than if I become mayor, that's great. I will. That is my goal. And I have no ambition or any thinking of anything as far as going higher office or leaving the city. I will be here, and I will intend to remain here. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, this next round of questions begins with Mr. Smith. You have 2 minutes. How will you make more affordable housing available?
First off, I think that starts with having a city council meeting about rent prices currently and negotiating on some kind of stop or staple off, because it seems like the rent just keeps increasing and people just keep talking about, oh, it's increasing. Well, where's the cap? When is it going to stop increasing? I mean, I see the city is building so many new things and ingesting so much new revenue, but where's it going? You know, I see that we've built buildings and roads, but yet again, if we're making so much money, why is the rent so high? Why are the trash bills so high? So just trying to keep those things in check, probably maybe lowering fees or substituting, spreading out the fees over a wider range since we have so much new income. So maybe dropping prices probably would even be a possibility. But again, like I said, that comes through negotiations through city council meetings, but which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dutray, this.
Has had a good track record in terms of affordable housing. We've had a great relationship with National Community Renaissance, where we built 3 different apartment communities, one for families, one for seniors, and one for special needs, actually 2 for families. This city has also have a great tradition where we purchased apartments and single-family homes and made those available for affordable for families with fixed income. When I say fixed income, for all these projects are low income. In addition to that, the city went ahead and over 10 years ago and floated bonds through our former redevelopment agency, and for 3 different mobile home parks, and we were able to, as a result, make all 3 of those mobile home parks also affordable for low-income households. So we have a strong track record. Obviously, the cost of housing has gone up, and that's because there's a supply and demand issue. In Montclair, I think the average home right now is a little less than $400,000, which is expensive. But then when you compare that to Upland, Rancho Cucamonga, Chino Hills, you'll find out that our housing here is less expensive. I think this is a big issue throughout the state of California. I think one of the things you got to do with housing is what we're doing in North Montclair. You have to build transit-oriented districts, high density, but you got to make sure you have transportation services there. People are able to walk to services. You just can't build these big single-family homes anymore. So we need to continue on what we're doing in North Montclair, build housing out there, but make sure housing is also housing that it doesn't become negative to our budgets. So, thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Raff, 2 minutes.
Yes, as John said, we do have several low-income housing around here, and we did do the mobile home parks. My fear is that the price that the housing is going, and unfortunately the city council has nothing to do with that. I mean, we can't go out and tell people what they can sell their homes for or what they can rent their homes for. That's entirely up to them. We did do, for the mobile home parks, we did it one time, not too long after I became on the council, to have rent control. But that no longer, the people that live there still have it, but if they sell their place, then that doesn't apply any longer. My fear is we don't have our kids growing up nowadays, they won't be able to afford a home because they are getting so expensive. And unfortunately, that's just the way of the times, and there's nothing really that we can do about it. We have, as John says, we have several complexes that we have even some on my own street that belong to the city that is low income. And I think that we have plenty. So, I mean, if someone wants to come in and build one, okay, that's fine. But I have no problem with that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Elias, you have 2 minutes.
John mentioned that the buying a home in Montclair is less than in Chino or Upland, but from talking to my customers, renting in Montclair is more expensive than Chino and Upland, which I was really surprised to hear because I've always thought of Chino and Upland as being higher end communities, but apparently to rent it is much more expensive in Montclair. And I don't know how that's going backwards like that. If the houses are cheaper to buy, why are they more expensive to rent? And you talked about rent control. I know the state is about to have a rent control thing on the ballot, and I think the rent control should not suddenly end after a certain point. If somebody sells their house, then the new person should also get the rent control, kind of like Prop 13. You know, if you sell your house, you lose everything, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be continuing so that other people can benefit from it when they do come into the city.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this next round of questions begins with Mr. Dutre. You'll have 2 minutes. What work have you already done to make the lives of Montclair residents better?
Well, I'm excited about some of the things that we've done in our Human Services Department. One of the things is we have what's called the Montclair to College program. It used to be called Online to College, where Montclair, with a partnership with JV College, allow Montclair seniors to have tuition free at JV College. Another program we do here is our senior lunch program. In this building here, we have a lot of seniors, especially from other communities, come here. It's one of the better programs in the area. I know we have a great youth basketball program that the city sponsors. It's almost now, I think, all season long. I'm really happy about some of the things that our public works department has done. If you notice, this city has basically paved almost every street north of Hope Boulevard, with the exception of south of Mission, my area where I live. So that's a future area that I'd like to see paved. I think we done a great job with our police department. We've gone through a lot of transition with the Montclair Police Department. Unfortunately, it's every agency, but our officers are out there constantly making sure that our citizens are safe. And I think we need to complement for our police department. But overall, a city of this size, of 40,000 residents, you compare that to a lot of other cities, especially LA County, same size, you don't get the same level of service. You don't get the same number of police officers or firefighters. And frankly, the budgets for those cities, our budget is $30 million. A lot of those cities, their budget's probably a lot less, closer to $20 million. So, for a city this size, a small city, we get a lot of services, and I think we should be very proud. And one of the goals, I think, as a mayor is making sure that those services are continue on, making sure that we continue on with capital improvements here in the city of Montclair. One area I'd like to see is improve our parks here in Montclair. It requires that. And I'd like to see that Monte Vista and the 10 freeway, the Monte Vista is widened at the 10 freeway, which hopefully will happen in 2020. But overall, it's really important.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Raft, you have 2 minutes. What work have you already done to make the lives of Montclair residents better?
Well, first of all, what John mentioned, the Montclair to College, I think that's a great program, and we started this in the 90s. It's given some young kids that could not afford to go to college if it wasn't for the Montclair to College, and I've talked to some of the parents, and they're really, really grateful for the program. I think it's a good one. Our senior lunch, I'm very happy with our senior lunches that we have. I volunteer once a month when we have the birthday lunch. It's a big one, and sometimes we have as much as 200 people, not only from Montclair, but from other locations, too. They come from Ontario, Pomona, Claremont, Chino, all over the place, which is very nice. We are paving our streets, and we still have more streets that'll be coming up to be paved. I'm very proud of our public services that we have, our public safety that we have, and I think Montclair is a great and wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Elias, you have 2 minutes. What work have you already done to make the lives of Montclair residents better?
Well, I brought a 21st century business into the city, which is creating additional ones. But as a resident, I don't have the track record that these two have for what they've done for the city. One of the things I would like to see, though, is I would like to have Montclair High School work with the labor unions in the area to bring some of the kids into the labor unions, because college is a wonderful thing, but not everybody needs to go to college. And they can make as much, if not more, by learning a trade. I put it on silent. So if they can learn about the trades, and then when they get out of high school, they can become an apprentice with the trade company, with the trade unions, and learn the occupation while getting paid. They will get paid and learn at the same time, and then they can go work a job that makes $40 an hour, which will help them survive in this expensive world today. So while college is wonderful, not everybody needs to go to college.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, what work have you already done to make the lives of Montclair residents better?
Well, I don't have much experience in civil service, but I will say I think I've been a source of inspiration for people around me and friends. I had a friend of mine just a couple weeks tell me, he's like, oh man, ever since I found out you were running for mayor, I decided to go ahead and get my GED. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, is be a source of inspiration, win or lose, just to show that, it doesn't matter where you come from or who you are. You could always be better and stand up, and don't be afraid to take responsibility, and don't be afraid to inherit, the future. So that's what I've been trying to do. I think that's the best thing I've done so far for the city, is being a source of inspiration for people who didn't think of much of themselves, and seeing me do what I do is inspired them to try to do better in themselves. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Where are we at? Okay, so this next round of questions starts with Mrs. Raft. It's again a general question. If elected as mayor, how would you convince your council colleagues to advance your issues and turn them into actions?
Well, first of all, you have to work with the council, and you have to present your issue to them and do the best that you can to convince them, and you hope that you do. You've got to give them reasons why they should do it, and listen to what they have to say, and it takes all of us working together to do anything. Like I say, it takes 3 yeses in order to get something done. If you don't have it, you're not going to get anything finished or accomplished.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Elias, if elected as mayor, how would you convince your council colleagues to advance your issues and turn them into actions?
Well, all those years as a paralegal, I have learned to see every issue from both sides. So I can understand where everybody is coming from, and it has also taught me how to get my point across. I know during one meeting with the Planning Commission, I was told afterwards that it was the most concise presentation they had ever heard, and it was the longest discussion they had ever heard on anything in the Planning Commission. So I think my experience dealing with the Planning Commission and the City Council to get my business going in the city has taught me how the system works.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, if elected as mayor, how would you convince your council colleagues to advance your issues and turn them into actions?
Again, it all goes back to communication, just being open-minded and willing to listen to the people who have experience, much more experience than I do, and willing to listen to the people who have no experience, and just being open-minded and willing to address issues as they come, and trying to talk things out, exercising the First Amendment, and just trying to stay positive, trying to, encourage people through positivity. Yeah, I think if you're a positive person, if you emulate positivity, it's a lot easier to get your point across when you're positive and open-minded. So just being open-minded and positivity. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Dutre, if elected as mayor, how would you convince your council colleagues to advance your issues and turn them into actions?
Well, first of all, there's something called the Brown Act. So technically, as council members, we can't be talking to other council members outside of a public hearing except one member, so you can't talk to the majority. So if I had an idea, maybe I'll talk to one council member about my idea, see how they feel about it. But I also talked about earlier, I'll talk to staff about it, especially the city manager of an idea I have, and get some feedback from staff. But how do you bring it up? You bring it up at a city council meeting. It's not agendized, so you ask that item be placed on the next city council, be placed on the agenda, so it'll be a public meeting. And the next meeting, it's on the agenda, and then that's where you'll be able to present your idea and then get some dialogue from the other city council members, and then provide directions to city staff. We also can take an idea. We have committees. The city council does have about 4 or 5 committees, and that ideas can be submitted on to the committees. So I always believe that, if you have an idea, do your homework, understand what the issues are. Is it a problem that needs to be fixed? And then obviously talk with staff and one counts colleague, and be careful of the Brown Act. You don't want to violate the Brown Act. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This next round of questions begins with Ms. Elias. How would you encourage new businesses to move to the city of Montclair, and what do you see as the future of business community over the next 4 years?
Well, again, small businesses, make the city more appealing to the small businesses. Make it easier for small businesses to open. Don't make small businesses have to come in and argue what their small business is and what their small business can be. We had to fight to open the business. We've had to fight every step of the way to any changes to the business, and that's just not encouraging to a small business. So I would just try and make the city friendlier.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, how would you encourage new businesses to move to the city of Montclair, and what do you see as the future of business community over the next 4 years?
I think probably everyone's using social media today, so probably social media as a medium to reach out to prospective people who want to build business or start businesses somewhere. Let them know that Montclair is open for new business, and hopefully the city will be open to small business. But probably using platforms like social media and the whole list of different modern platforms that are used today, and then just getting the word out, making connections with neighboring cities or personal connections, people that that have like visions, and bringing those visions to the city and trying to upgrade the city and move forward. I mean, we all know what we know and we all do what we do, so we all have a set of individual qualities that makes us different from one another, and using those qualities to attract new businesses. Like again, using like social media platforms to, if you have ideas, putting it out there, saying this is what we're trying to get into our city. Anyone interested, please come. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dutre, how would you encourage new businesses to move to the city of Montclair, and what do you see as the future of those business community over the next 4 years?
Well, the biggest challenge, I think, for a small business, for any businesses, for brick and mortar, is the internet. The internet commerce is greatly growing, and as a result of that, a lot of small businesses have to compete with that. So I firmly believe that as a city, we should be friendlier to small business. I think we need to. Small businesses do generate not just income for the city, but also create jobs, and we want that. And I know Suzanne brought in a microbrewery, and when the first time I heard about it, I was very excited. And I remember I meeting with your consultant. We sat down and talked about the need to modify the specific plan amendment. And I was one of the supporters for that. And then later on, you wanted to do a conditional use permit for your outdoor patio, and I worked with you on that, Susan, as well. Sometimes, working for staff, I understand that sometimes staff will take out the code book, and we're more focused on the code of the book than we are what the realistic possibilities, or try to be open-minded or trying to be creative on how to do stuff. And I worked with other businesses here. I know Rosa Rangel, when she moved to her flower shop, now to her prior location, and she was trying to do something as well there, and I had to help her, and we modified the code to make that possible. So one of the things I like to see our staff, nothing against Michael, our city planner in the back, but I think we need to do a little better job in trying to encourage our small businesses to do well here in Montclair, and maybe be a little more creative on the staff level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Raft, how would you encourage new businesses to move to the city of Montclair, and what do you see as the future of business community over the next 4 years?
Well, first of all, small business are the backbone of the city, or any city. They're the backbone. We do need to work with the people that come forward to open a business and help in every way we can, and not make it so difficult sometimes. Of course, there are things they have to comply with for the state. We have no say-so about that, but we can give them encouragement, and anything that's within our reach, we can try and help them as much as we can to get them to come into the city. And we, as said, we can also perhaps send out on the internet maybe a message to say we would like to have new business, kind of like promote new businesses to come into the city, and that we are here would love to have their business, and that we are a friendly business city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This will be our final round of questions, and this round begins with Mr. Smith. How would you like to see Montclair change in the coming years? You have 2 minutes.
How would I like to see a change? More diversity. Having more diverse programs for the right range of people who are moving into the city. It's, as I can look throughout the audience, it's a very colorful audience. So having, just a little bit more diversity in activities. Promoting new ideas and new activities, actually. Maybe promoting I understand you guys have a concert series or some kind of concert that we have in the park, but maybe expanding that, allowing for local artists to display their music, because I'm familiar with a lot of the local artists around the Montclair and just San Bernardino County area. There are a lot of local artists who are up and coming and looking for a platform, and maybe Montclair could be that city, a big little city, the city that helps small time musicians try to make their name out there, put their name out there. They're small, we're small, so maybe we can grow together. And just trying to maintain security of the city too. The police department does an excellent job. The city isn't that large, so I would imagine, should be easy to police. But just paying a little bit more attention also to the residents, maybe getting a little bit more interpersonal, like it used to be. Maybe it'd be nice to have, shake the police officer's hand, have a conversation with the police officer, maybe even a donut from time to time, just to bridge the gap between new and old, and to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dutre, how would you like to see Montclair change in the coming years?
Well, I talked about earlier this evening that I think there's several issues the mayor needs to tackle to make sure that Montclair maintains a quality of life. One is the increased pension costs. We need to change that. We need to control that. If we don't, then we're going to have a negative balance in our budget, and we're not going to be able to provide the services. Number two is we've got to make sure the Montclair Place remains vibrant. With Montclair Place for many years was a very strong mall in this region here. So we got to change the Montclair Place to be a strong retail destination, not just a means to generate revenue for the city, but also a place where the public wants to be at, We got to bring the GO Line train to Montclair, because I think we're developing something really exciting, not just in Montclair and the region, that is the North Montclair area, building the high-density housing, building employment, building the retail, obviously generating jobs and also revenue for the city of Montclair. That's really important, the future of the city of Montclair. I also think that we need to continue on, and we're improving our streets, but we also need to improve our parks. Parks, I think, especially our parks are active parks. They need to be a focus. We need to beautify neighborhoods. We need to make our residential neighborhoods a lot more attractive. We need to get residents to maintain their homes. We got to protect, police and fire. We got to make sure we have this right personnel and police and fire to keep our city safe and fighting crime. And then I think we got to continue with all these great service programs we have. Enrich our seniors and our youth, and overall making sure that overall the population want to be in Montclair. And that's what we want at the end of the day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Raft, how would you like to see Montclair change in the coming years?
I want to see encourage more businesses to come in, family businesses, so people don't have to go elsewhere for their entertainment, that they will be saying Montclair is the place to go and shop and play. I would like to see us have community meetings with the residents to see what their problems are and deal with that. I'm getting a lot of things while I'm out there. I would like to deal more with public safety and traffic. All over the city we have a problem with traffic, as I stated earlier, and people are really up in arms about this, and so we really need to get together as a council and maybe even some of the community and to figure out how to correct these problems. Montclair is such a great place, and it's improving all over it's all new businesses. We're getting a lot of things in Montclair that everyone can enjoy, and I really want to see that continue. So, and if I was to be mayor, I would advocate for that to continue and to bring more people in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Elias, how would you like to see Montclair change in the coming years?
I agree with more small businesses. I lived in Riverside for a while, and that was one of the things I liked about Riverside, was that they had a lot of small businesses, not a lot of big box businesses. We do have Costco, though, which is, we're the only one in the area, so that has to be. As far as traffic, again, synchronizing the traffic lights will help traffic, because if you catch every light red, then the traffic is going to get slowed down, and then you have traffic jams. And I know that it takes a long time to go down Central Avenue. And I know we are the conduit for Chino to get to the 10 freeway. So we've got two cities coming up Central all the time. And that makes for a lot of traffic. With the cops, I do believe that the Starbucks at the 10 in Central does have a sign up right now saying have coffee with the cop. So Montclair Police will be meeting there if anybody wants to go meet with the police. They will be at the Starbucks. I'm not sure what date though. And that's about it. Just bring more people into the city who want to stay in the city and make it better. Put it on the map.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that now ends our general questioning period. We are now going to into our closing statements. Those statements will begin with Mr. Smith on the west side, and we'll move this way towards Mr. Dutre, who will give his final. So you have 3 minutes to give your closing statement, beginning with Mr. Smith, and you can begin now.
Okay. Well, first off, again, I'd like to say thanks for everyone showing up and trying to be a part of the city and its business. I'll just try to keep it short and sweet. I'd love to be mayor. I'd like to put my hand in the pot and see what I can do for the community. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience, but I have a lot of charisma and a lot of attitude, and I do have a vision for the future. And I believe the city needs a millennial to push it into the future. I have a lot of time on my hands. I don't have any side interests, so the city will be my full-time interest. If you need a full-time mayor, I will be the full-time mayor. Looking to bring new activities to the city, different cultural elements, different types of music, maybe, different types of entertainment, being very positive, bringing community and just city together again, a more cohesive network. It seems like we're kind of like strangers every once in a while. I mean, not totally, but in some ways, to some residents, it does seem like the city is separate from the residents. So just trying to be the glue for business, city, and residency. Let me be the glue. I can be great glue. And just maintaining positivity and a fresh state of mind, being open to new businesses, and securing the city, making sure that we do have contingency and protocols for, say, even an active shooter situation. What protocols do we have for an active shooter at the mall? What protocols do we have for an active shooter at City Hall or any of our high schools? As the population of the city grows and as it grows itself, it's going to attract a lot more people and a lot more attention. So those are some questions that need to be answered. Do we have protocols set in place for God forbid, a mass tragedy? And just keeping the city first. And that's my primary goal, to give the city my time. I have nothing but time. If you want it, here I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Elias, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, again, as a small business owner in the city, I would like to see the city grow, but grow in a way that is good for all residents and all employees, all people who work in the city, whether they live in the city or not. As John already pointed out, I do have a brewery, so we are trying to bring more modern things into the city, and the county too. I mean, we're the first one in the city, first one in the Inland Empire, owned and operated by women, and we're the first female brewmaster. So that's a lot of firsts. We've already received an award for being Small Business of the Year last year for the Assembly District, as well as the City of Montclair. And I would like to keep doing that for the City of Montclair. Anytime we've had to deal with code enforcement, the police, or the fire department, we have been very happy with the reaction time and with the results that we've gotten from them. So I would like to support all of the first responders and the code enforcement to keep the city going in a positive direction.
Okay, great. Mrs. Raff, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone once again for attending the Mayoral Forum. I don't know if the candidates up here helped you to make up your mind, but hopefully you weren't bored or that we put you to sleep. Sometimes when you see a forum such as this one, you may not get all the information that you wish to hear, but if not, then do your research and check out each one of us and see what we stand for. I truly would like to be your mayor and represent you for the next 4 years. Together with your involvement, I hope we can make a difference in Montclair. Our prior mayor, Paul Eaton, was so loved, trusted, and respected that it's hard to fill his place by just anyone. But bless his heart, when he first found out that he could no longer run again, he told me he wanted me to run for his seat, and I was so touched by his confidence in me that I almost burst with pride. Ginger Eaton and her whole family stands behind me. I am truly blessed. All of us sitting up here can promise you everything or anything just to get your vote. But remember, it takes 3 yes votes in order to get something passed. Otherwise, you're out of luck. I am lucky to be endorsed by our beloved deceased Mayor Paul Eaton, current Mayor Ginger Eaton, and family. Senator Connie Leyva. I received a delightful phone call from County Supervisor Kurt Hagman, who also endorses me. Ontario Mayor Paul Leon, Ontario Montclair School District Board, Mr. Sam Crow, and law enforcement. In closing, my husband told me the morning that we found out that I was elected to Montclair Council to look into the mirror every day. And if the day comes that I think I'm different from anyone else, that's the day to quit. Well, I've been there for 26 years and I haven't changed at all. Now I'm asking for your trusted vote, and I will try my best to live up to that trust. I have so many good people that are behind me that it's overwhelming. So thank you. Please vote, and hopefully you will vote for Carolyn Raft on November the 6th. And by the way, that's my husband's birthday, so I hope that I get to not disappoint him, and I hope that I get to give him a present for mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Duterte, you have 3 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. As was stated before, Paul was a beloved mayor. He taught me things, how to be humble, how not to take things very seriously, and how to just do the right thing. And those are some of the spirits that I'm going to carry on if I get elected as mayor, or I'll continue on as a city council member. You know, I worked with Paul for many years. I helped on every mayoral campaign that Paul ran for re-election. I walked neighborhoods for him. I knocked on doors, put signs up for Paul. We had a great relationship. I enjoyed working on the regional boards, SBCTA and Omnitrans, replacing Paul there. And I can tell you how much he's respected by those boards. And it just tells me how important it is to be honest to people, to be truthful, and to have a good vision of where the city is going. So first of all, I want to recognize the Community Action Commission, Activities Commission, excuse me, for putting this together along with the Montclair Chamber of Commerce. I also want to recognize Tim. You did a great job today. Yeah, no difficulties. I've seen that in the past. I want to recognize the mayoral candidates. Carolyn, you and I have worked for many years. We worked together on the past few campaigns, especially that 2012 crazy campaign. And I think we will continue on to be friends, and we will continue on to support each other for the betterment of Montclair. Suzanne, you talked about the microbrewery. You're the pioneer of Montclair, the microbrewery here. You're involved in the Chamber of Commerce, and I appreciate all your strong spirits here in the Montclair. And Kelly, we have some in common. We're both Montclair High School graduates. It's just I'm older than you are, 1983, class of 83 rules, so just to let you know. But I just want to say that I appreciate all your spirit. And you know what? You bring a different flex of spirit here in terms of generation, younger generation, which needs to be listened to, and not in this community, but also in this nation. I want to recognize my parents again. I brought them up earlier, Jean and Marie Duterte. These are immigrants. They came here from another country, and they taught me the importance of not just what the value of here, but what the value of being an American. I want to recognize my wife Anne, my daughter Janine, and of course my son Christopher. My wife is a former U.S. Army. She's also a veteran of the Iraqi War. And of course, my son Christopher is in Fort Polk, Louisiana. I'm not sure why he's there, and my daughter who loves to play volleyball. As I stated before, I really care about the city of Montclair. I grew up in this town, went to high school in this town, school in this town. I understand the issues. I know what's going on. I have a lot of good relationships. I've been endorsed by Supervisor Hagman as well. I've been endorsed by a lot of the members of the city council and mayors of other cities. I appreciate the endorsement I got today from the Montclair Firefighters Association, endorsed by the Montclair Police Officers Association. And I didn't have to ask for endorsements. Actually, people came up to me and started endorsing me, and I really appreciate all that. So, moving forward, Montclair is a great city.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Okay. Thank you. No. Oh, yeah, we have some other suggestions too. So, to all of the candidates, on behalf of the residents and the business community, I want to thank you for spending your time running for mayor, coming here tonight to share your views with us about how you believe you can make Montclair a better place. I think they deserve a round of applause. It's not easy to get up there in front of people, so. To all the rest of us, I want to remind us that voting day is November 6th, so get out there and vote. If you vote early, please do that ahead of time so you don't forget like I do, and then have to go in and explain who I am. There is candidate information on the table between the two exits on the side over here. You can pick that up on your way out. The Mayoral Candidates Forum is hosted by the Montclair Community Activities Commission, members sitting here to my right, and the Montclair Chamber of Commerce. Refreshments this evening were provided by the courtesy of the Women's Club of Montclair, and we want to thank you all for attending this evening and ask you to have a safe drive home. Thank you for coming.